For 13 years, I took the punishment for everything my sister broke. My fiancé finally asked why I apologized when he dropped a plate. When I was 6 years old, my older sister Vanessa shattered my mother's antique vase while dancing in the living room. My parents were in the kitchen when they heard the crash, and by the time they came in, Vanessa was pointing at me, saying I pushed her. I tried to tell the truth, but she started crying and said I was lying to get her in trouble. My parents grounded me for a week, not for breaking the vase, but for refusing to take responsibility and blaming my sister. The next month, Vanessa spilled nail polish all over the bathroom counter and told my parents I'd been playing with her makeup. I got my allowance taken away for 3 months. When I protested, my dad said I needed to learn accountability. By the time I was 9, I stopped defending myself. Vanessa would break something or make a mess, and she'd tell my parents it was me. I'd get grounded or lose privileges while my parents lectured me about integrity. If I said it wasn't me, they'd add more punishment for lying. So I learned to just take it. In middle school, Vanessa scratched my dad's car with her bike and told him I'd taken it without asking. I was 12 and didn't even know how to drive, but I lost my birthday party that year. I started keeping my head down and my mouth shut. My parents called me difficult and troubled, while Vanessa was responsible and trustworthy. When I was 15, Vanessa snuck out to a party and crashed my mom's car into a mailbox. She called me in a panic at 2 a.m. begging me to help. I was terrified, but she was my sister. I met her 3 blocks from our house and drove the car back while she walked home. When my parents found the damage the next morning, she said I'd taken the car for a joyride. I was grounded for 6 months, lost my learner's permit, and had to pay for the repairs with money I'd saved for a school trip. I moved out the day I turned 18 and barely came back. I learned to apologize for everything, for taking up space, for speaking, for existing. I said I'm sorry when people bumped into me on the sidewalk. 2 years ago, I met Owen. He was patient and kind, and he noticed that I apologized constantly. One night, he accidentally knocked over a water glass, and I immediately said, I'm sorry, that was my fault, I'll clean it up. He looked at me, confused, and said, why are you sorry? I dropped it. Last month, Owen proposed, and my mom insisted Vanessa should be my maid of honor. We drove to my parents' house for dinner so they could meet Owen properly. Vanessa knocked my mom's new picture frame off the mantle while reaching for her wine. It shattered across the floor, and before I could think, I heard myself say, I'm so sorry, I'll replace it, that was my fault. Owen's head turned toward me. What are you talking about? You were sitting down. Vanessa knocked it over. My dad said, she always takes the blame for attention. Vanessa was already sweeping it up, saying, she's been doing this since we were kids. It's like a guilt complex or something. Owen stood up. She's been doing what since you were kids? Taking the blame for things you did? The room went quiet. My mom said I had a tendency to make myself the victim. She just tried to take responsibility for something everyone in this room watched Vanessa do. Owen said. His jaw was tight. How many times did you punish her for things she didn't do? My dad told him he didn't understand our family dynamic. Owen turned to me. The car accident when you were 15. Did you actually take the car? My silence was an answer. He looked at my parents. You made her pay for repairs with her school trip money. For an accident someone else caused. Vanessa laughed nervously and said I'd offered to take the blame. You called her at 2 a.m. begging for help, Owen said. And then you let her take the punishment. You were 17. You had a license. She was 15. And you let your parents think she stole a car. My mom said I'd always had behavioral issues they'd tried their best to manage. I started crying because I was 15 again, grounded for 6 months, watching my sister walk free. Owen took my hand. We're leaving, and you're not coming to the wedding. My dad said we were being ridiculous. It's not about one accident, Owen said. It's about watching your daughter apologize for my mistake and realizing you spent her entire childhood teaching her she's responsible for everyone else's failures. We left, and I haven't spoken to them since. Owen's parents called the next day after he told them everything. His mom said I never had to apologize for anything in their home.